Hailing frequencies open. Welcome back to Trek Retrek here on Geek the F Out. I am Captain Johnny.
And I'm Ensign Kayla.
And we're here to talk about Star Trek, the original series.
Indeed, indeed.
Season 2, Episode 19. A Private Little War.
Private. Very private.
Very private.
Kind of. But like also could start a huge war.
Yeah.
With a private little war with huge consequences.
Yeah, it's like, isn't it, I think it's a proxy war, isn't that a term for that kind of thing? Like,
I have no idea, actually. Good question.
So, sort of. Proxy war is a war instigated by a major power which does not itself become involved.
So they're like secretly involved in it, or maybe not so secretly involved in it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that as we talk about the episode. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Welcome, welcome. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon.
Okay. Season 2, Episode 19. A Private Little War. TVGuide.com says, Kirk takes steps to restore the status quo on a primitive planet where the Klingons are secretly escalating the weapons technology among rival tribes.
We start. Kirk, McCoy, and Spock are on a Class M planet that Kirk has surveyed before and spent some time there 13 years ago. I think he said it was the first planet he surveyed or something like that.
I think that's what he said, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like this season we're getting kind of throwbacks to a lot of Kirk's first time with things with Starfleet. You know?
Yeah, he says it's his first planetary survey as a lieutenant 13 years prior.
And he says it's a Garden of Eden.
Words are hard.
Yeah, words are hard. Where there are peaceful people, and then suddenly they see some men with flintlock rifles, and they're preparing to ambush one of his friends, Tyree. And so Kirk throws a rock to distract them when they start to pursue them and end up shooting Spock right before they can beam up. And meanwhile, while that's happening, Spock accidentally dropped his phaser, which is a no-no. And which, I don't know if you noticed this, but when they're like, oh, beam us back up, Bones is like, oh, have the medic standing by. And I was like, bro, you are a medic. Like, what the fuck? Like, I get it. Like, he'll probably need help, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then my first question was like, oh, who's this new medic? Which, pause, we'll get there. And so Bones, Chapel, and this new medic are tending to Spock in the transporter room when Uhura informs that there is a Klingon vessel nearby. And so Kirk goes to the bridge and he finds out that the Klingons, that maybe the Klingons have interfered since the people on the planet have developed so quickly, and have broken their treaty possibly, which would be very bad. And you're trying to get your tail right now. Which Scotty, Chekhov, and Uhura think they may have developed quickly, or like, there may be some other explanation to this. Take a drink every time I can't say a word. And Kirk's not having any of it. And so yeah. And I was gonna save this for lines, but I think I just need to say it now. But when we're in the it's not the sick bay, it's the kind of like operating room. A lot of stuff, sir. What do they call that? Isn't there a different name for it?
Is that what they've called the infirmary?
That's what I was thinking, infirmary. The irony.
Yeah.
Bones Bones tells Kirk he'll live or die now, Jim. I don't know which. I'm like, okay, you're so helpful. Like,
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
yeah, like we didn't already know that. And then we find out that it is indeed Mbenga.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I literally paused it while I was watching and did a whole what? Like that was, I'm not even kidding, that was my reaction because I was not expecting that at all. I totally thought that Mbenga on Strange New Worlds was like a whole new character or something. So yeah, so
if
I
I'm
was
remembering correctly, I specifically left him out when we were talking about people that we knew were okay. Because he appears so late into the series, I didn't mention him. Like, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that was it.
I don't, yeah, I think I would have noticed if you, so thank you for doing that because that was very exciting. And, which of course I was like, so Spock would have met him before technically, but then of course, like
And
nothing
Chapel.
comes of that. Yeah. And Chapel. Totally. Which I mean, they have, another history before Strange New Worlds anyways that we see flashbacks to, so yeah, anyways, so Mbenga says that they don't have replacements for Spock's organs, but his Vulcan physiology will save him now. And Bones tells Kirk that he interned at a Vulcan ward, and so Kirk says he needs Bones' help on the bridge with the Klingons. And so they beam down in native clothes and they encounter an albino monkey rhino dino, as I put it, aka an Mugato. And it attacks Kirk with poison in its fangs. So it also has fangs. Like, this is like a mesh of like so many different animals in one. And Bones kills it with his phaser. They try to contact the ship, but the ship is now out of range, of course. So Bones gives him something that'll keep him alive for a few hours. What did you think of that scene, though, when the Mugato came out?
I mean, I knew it was coming. I knew because, you know, and there's Mugato pets in Star Trek Online. Like, you can get a companion Mugato. And there's been stuff with Mugato in Lower Decks.
I feel like they'd be cute in smaller form, but absolutely terrifying in that size.
Yeah, like kind of like the Moopsie.
Yeah, the Moopsie for sure.
But it's funny because it's kind of like the Gorn. It's like it's obviously a dude in a suit, which is kind of like the cheese that I love.
Yeah, we love that cheese. No, I liked that too, and I feel like obviously it's like a little simpler than the Gorn costume. But it's just funny how they just kind of like meshed all these animals together.
Yeah, but what did you call it? An albino monkey rhino?
Hold on, let me go back. An albino monkey rhino dino. Because then it had spikes on its back like a stegosaurus.
It just, and that also just makes me think of when they put the horn on the dog in the one episode.
The like fluffy dog. Yeah.
Just to add horns to things and it makes them alien.
They like to make things horny, you know?
Who doesn't?
Horny bastards. Anywho. So, which I had the question of, I feel like they've been able to contact the Enterprise from further distances before. So it was interesting that because they're out of orbit now that they can't.
I think it was partly that and partly that they had to go to the other side of the planet. Like, because they were hiding behind the planet to to keep out of sight of the Klingons.
But I think they went out of orbit.
They did also go out of orbit, but they still would have kept, I'm assuming they still would have kept the planet between themselves and the Klingons so that they didn't show up on the Klingon sensors, which is probably why the communication was blocked, because it would have, instead of just going up into orbit, it would have to go through the whole planet to the other side.
But I don't know, I feel like it still shouldn't be that hard.
It is, I agree. It is as needed by the plot.
Yeah, exactly. Which, once again, take a drink every time they can't communicate with the ship. It's like, we should just add that to our list now. What are you doing, child? We should just add that to our list, which we have pretty much everything else. What is happening? We have pretty much everything else happen this episode, you know? Except for shirtless Kirk. He's like kind of shirtless. He has the vest, so he's like partially shirtless.
Partially, yeah. It was a little bit before. No, it was just after the Magato attack. Like, Bones is a security risk. First, he left his communicator on the gangster planet, and now he shot the Magato with a phaser right in front of, like, these tribesmen. I believe they saw him shoot it. Like, and then he uses the hypo spray. Like,
did or didn't. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what's going on over there. So yes, as we just said, some of the Hill people are watching them, and Bones asked them for help since Kirk said some of the men know how to cure it in his last words that he utters. But the dude just like stares at him, and I was like, okay, so then all of a sudden they're going back to their like camp or whatever without any explanation. Like, it goes from them not talking to suddenly they're talking. So yeah, they bring Kirk back to the cave where Tyree is now the leader, and him and his wife are on their way back to heal him because she's a healer. And so then we cut to Tyree and his wife Nona, which I was like, that's the name of grandma, but okay, she's definitely not a grandma. That bright orange furry vest bra thing, that whole outfit was just chef's kiss. We love it. We love it. And so yeah, they're watching some of the villagers go by, and Nona says that they should take their weapons, and she rubs leaves on him, which kind of put him into a spell. And, you know, they start making out and whatnot. And what are you doing? And all of a sudden they get cock-blocked. One of their men comes over and says that there are strangers who need help. And so Nona goes back and she sees Bones heating up the rocks with his phaser to keep Kirk warm. When she tells Tyree she needs to know more about Jim before she can heal him, which I was like, I don't think she really needed to know that. She just knew that, like, these people were more advanced. And so, you know, trying to manipulate like she has been already. Meanwhile, in sickbay, Chapel holds Spock's hand and then immediately puts it down when Mbenga comes in and catches her. Says that Spock is in a state of like hypnosis, trying to heal his body faster. And he's like, oh, and he probably knows that you guys are holding hands. And then as he leaves, she's like, yeah, I do that with all my patients. Like, that's what a good nurse does.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Jan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Whatever
Jan.
you say. So then Nona heals Jim with this weird moving root thing and her blood as well, and then like slaps him right in the wound and was like writhing around while Tyree is drumming on. And I was like, this is so weird. Because, like, you know, obviously like Eastern medicine and like healing ways and stuff, like there's a whole ceremony to a lot of things, and like those make sense to me, like in terms of like when you're like watching anything like that, or even like fictional stuff like that. But this whole scene was just like so awkward, and just like her writhing was just funny to me. So yeah, she passes out and Jim wakes up saying he had the strangest dream. I was like, I don't think it was a dream, bro. I think that happened. And then quickly goes back to sleep, and Bones sees that his wound is completely healed, as well as Nona's hand.
Yeah, no signs of any wound at all.
So basically, she's Wolverine. Instead of Wolverine. I got that from Broad City. You're welcome. What do you see outside? And so Nona says that their souls are together now, and he is hers now. And apparently Kirk can't refuse her, like, any of her wishes. But Tyrese says it's only a legend. So I was a little confused. Which we'll have to talk about that after. And Bones wakes up from his nap and Jim is gone, and finds him holding Nona's hand, kind of like transfixed again. And then Tyree wakes up and him and Kirk reunite and tells him that his wife has cured him and she's a Canutu. Back in sickbay, we have Spock's readings are starting to fluctuate a bit, and Mbenga tells Chapel that when he starts speaking that she needs to do whatever he says, which she's a little confused by, but we find out later why. And Tyree, Kirk, and Bones talk and say how these fire sticks showed up a year ago. And so Tyree hasn't seen any strangers in their camp helping them either in the villagers' camp with the fire sticks. So they're trying to figure out if it is Klingon involvement or not. So that makes them think that maybe it's not. So Kirk asks Tyree to take him there at night when Nona interrupts them and reveals she knows how advanced Kirk and Bones are with technology and whatnot, and wants Kirk to teach her. And Kirk tries to explain to her that they cannot interfere, and Tyree doesn't want to kill anyone anyways. But Nona is upset he won't fight, and Kirk won't give them any more advanced weapons, and says that she has the wrong husband and he has the wrong friends, which I was like, damn, that is savage. She really just wants to, like, fuck shit up, essentially. Like, she wants a full-on fight, war, battle, whatever. And so they go to the villagers' home at night, which is a full-on, like, concrete building with guards patrolling it. I'm like, there's so much more advanced than the Hill people in just a year.
Yep.
And we see a Klingon, which is no surprise there, talking to one of the villagers. And he has made an improvement to the gun already. And Kirk and Bones find a forge there, and they find that clearly they couldn't have, the village people couldn't have made any of those things when they hear the Klingon and Apella coming. And they come in, and Kirk and Bones attack them and run away, and they're chased by the villagers while being shot at. Meanwhile, back in sickbay, Spock wakes up and tells Chapel to hit him, so she starts slapping him. Which the slapping is back, baby.
Yep.
And yeah, Mbenga and Scotty come in, and Scotty is trying to pull her away, but Mbenga keeps slapping him until he fully wakes up. And he explains that he needed to do that to bring him back to consciousness, essentially. And at Tyree's camp, Kirk is showing them how to use the flintlocks when Bones is unhappy about it, since he knows that there's going to be an unending war because of it. He thinks Kirk is drugged by Nona since this is what she wants. Kirk tells them that the only way to preserve them is to have a balance of power between sides. So basically they want to, like, continue to give them the same weapons that the Klingons are giving them. And yeah, which I was like, yeah, it's like once someone has some kind of weapon, it's kind of just all downhill from there, one way or the other.
It's not like the villagers came up with it themselves. Like, it was given to them by the Klingons to give them an edge. So I can definitely see both sides' reasoning for it.
Yeah, exactly.
For their,
it's like
Bones being against it and Kirk saying we need to keep the status quo.
Exactly. It's like a no-win situation. It's a lose-lose. So let's see. Bones says since Tyree won't fight, he'll be one of the first to die. So Kirk says he might be able to change that by going through Nona. And I'm like, of course, you want to talk to Nona more. And Spock is back on the bridge. The Klingons are beaming someone aboard. And so they know something's definitely going on there. Kirk goes to find Nona, who is dressing herself, because of course she is, and she has him smell the same leaves that she put on Tyree earlier, and he starts to fall under the spell when Tyree catches them with, like, holding up the gun, and they kiss, of course, and Tyree is about to shoot Kirk, both of them, I don't know, in their direction, when he decides not to and drops the gun and runs away, which I'm like, if it was ready to shoot, probably shouldn't have dropped it, because it still could have gone off. I don't know how those worked back in the day, but definitely a possibility.
But also, this is it's baby's first firearm, so probably isn't real knowledgeable on trigger discipline. I'm
dead.
A little more advanced than a Red Ryder BB gun, but same thing. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. I want to talk about a little bit when Kirk finds Nona and, like, she's getting dressed. What is with the whimsical music anytime there's a naked, like, woman on screen, like,
or just like a new woman shows up, which happens in next episode. It's every time. It's like this, like, romantic music every time, and I'm just like, okay, we get it. Like, why are we bringing attention to this? I don't know. I don't get it either.
I'm like, if you think about it critically, it's probably like it's a sign of the times and the fact that they probably know they don't expect women to be watching their show. I feel like they probably had the attitude back then of, like, this is a show for men. Like, women aren't going to watch this.
Maybe. Who knows?
But there are plenty of Trekkies who are women, so.
And Trekkers. So let's see. Oh, and then all of a sudden, Mugato shows up and is back and attacks Nona while Jim is still kind of in his trance and trying to fight it in a daze. But eventually kills it with his phaser, and Nona knocks Kirk out and takes his phaser. Tyree returns to the camp without the gun, and Bones and another dude go with him to retrieve it, only to find Kirk knocked out. Nona runs away and finds the village people and says she has victory for Apella. And I'm like, bitch, what? You just changed sides like that? And then for a second, I thought maybe she was like a
double agent
or like a double agent. Yeah, double agent. But I don't think she was. And they tried to grab her and kiss her, and I was like, girl, use this phaser to shoot them. What are you doing? And yeah, they like are trying to grab her and then like kiss her too. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why are you kissing her?
Yeah, like, why are we sexually assaulting this woman in the middle of war? What the fuck?
I mean, that is a thing, unfortunately. But anyways, so finally Tyree, Kirk, and Bones come up and attack them. Bones gets my autocorrect did change shot to hot. He gets hot in the arm. But is unfazed, but you know,
too much repetitive motion.
Yeah. We find out later that it looks like it just grazed him. And the villagers stab Nona, and Tyree starts to fight, and then he's trying to kill a dude with a rock, and Kirk stops him. What?
That's a funny sentence. He's trying to kill a dude with a rock. It just made me chuckle.
And Bones declares Nona dead, and Tyree asks Kirk for more fire sticks, saying he will kill the village people who escaped and killed Nona. And Bones tells Jim he got what he wanted at the end of the day. They radio the Enterprise and find out that Spock is indeed alive, which I'll save that line for later. And Kirk asks them to make 100 flintlocks, which Scotty is confused about and doesn't really ask anything else. And they beam up, and that's it. That's the ending. It's a very solemn kind of, I don't know, sad ending, which it made it seem like this was going to be like a 2-part episode or something like that, or I don't know, seems like maybe there's going to be a future episode that talks about it more, but at the same time, knowing other stuff that hasn't really been resolved, I'm not so sure that's going to be the case. Like, I feel like it's just going to be forgotten about, maybe. Like, I hope it's not, but I feel like there's, like, not really like, it was kind of a resolution, but kind of not. Especially with the Klingons. Like, they had the evidence with the Klingons. Were they going to tell on them? Or did Kirk just, like, not want to deal with, you know, essentially a war that would have to then start with the Klingons because of this?
I suspect that he's probably going to, like, it'll be in his log that the Klingons were interfering and supplied weapons, so they did, you know, kept the status quo by supplying the same materials to the Hill people.
Yeah, and show the evidence as well. I don't know. So yeah, I was wondering if you thought that Kirk was actually influenced by Nona, or he was making choices out of his own volition.
I don't think so. I think he was, he had his faculties about him, except for I do have, like, Stoned Kirk versus the Mugato.
Yeah.
Like, I think the plant definitely had psychotropic effects on him. And it was mind altering, but I don't think the ritual with the root and healing it, like, binded them together. Cause there were definitely times where he was able to just be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't care who's asking.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think she was like actually influencing him. I think, like we talked about before, that like there's really there's no winning in this situation. There's not really like a good resolution to it, you know. Like Kirk says, there needs to be a balance, because or else, you know, if they didn't, then all of the Hill people would just be completely eradicated and it would just be a full-on genocide. So at least it gives them a fighting chance. It's not the best, and they definitely can't be the peaceful people that Kirk saw them before 13 years ago, which sucks. But, you know, there's really nothing they can do about it now. It's not like they can, you know, wipe their memories or anything like that. Okay, or can they?
I think they can. I think they've done it before.
Haven't they done that before?
Yeah.
That's why, as I was saying it, I was like, I feel like they've done that before, but maybe it's hard with a lot of people.
Yeah, it might be harder like maybe not planet wide, but that whole region. Yeah.
I don't know. Unless it's something where it's like fate, and no matter what, if they interfered, like something else, like someone else would come by and drop some other kind of technology that would advance them and turn them into violent people, non-peaceful people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm curious because they mentioned one of the recent episodes, like they talked about like the contact happened before I think it was a piece of the action. It was before the non-interference rule was in place. They didn't mention that here. Kirk says he was on.
No, they didn't.
He was on the planet 13 years ago for his survey. Like, they were there. They obviously interacted. Revealed themselves to the. Maybe they were in, like, local garb. Like they were, like him and Bones were in this one, like trying to blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was curious about that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of like, I was thinking about it, and yeah, I know with Strange New Worlds, there was definitely some episodes that, you know, didn't really have like the best resolution to them, and kind of ended similarly with, you know, a little like solemn, like, oh, it's not all like unicorns and rainbows. But it's still, and there's been a few other episodes like this in the original series that we've watched, but this just seemed like really sad. And I guess because, you know, we see, you know, Kirk's reaction to it the most out of anyone. And I think maybe that says something with like his acting and, you know, trying to portray someone who had involvement with these people and clearly grew close to them. And, you know, it just really sucks to see that there is no like peaceful way out of it.
So I think that all of that is intentional. And the reason is one of the things that I had for episode trivia, but I'll say it now because I think this will give you a lot of context. It says this episode was intended as a comment on the ongoing Vietnam War at the time.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, something that I don't think about it. Like, I didn't think about it because we're how removed from it. I know there's a lot of history there and a lot of controversy and things like that. But
yeah, because they were like in it at that time. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, this episode was one of the things. Like, that's one of the things people like about Star Trek in general, is that it kind of tackles contemporary issues, and this is one of the episodes of the original series that does that.
And political issues, which is so funny when people say that Star Trek is woke or political, and I'm like,
where have you been?
Have you watched it?
when did Rage Against the Machine get so political?
When did the Foo Fighters become so political? We can go on and on and on. Anyways,
I saw somebody make that comment about Pearl Jam the other day, and I'm like, are you a fan of this band? Where have you been?
Yeah.
Like,
or like Macklemore too.
Day one.
Especially recently. Yeah. It's funny. Anyways, people just don't like to actually pay attention. They like to be blissfully ignorant on many levels. All right. Shall we do lines and moments?
Yeah, I only have like 2.
Okay.
I guess you want me to go. No. When she has the phaser, she's like, "Touch me again, and this small box will kill you."
I almost put that in the "that's what they said" because, you know, box can mean something else.
Yeah.
But decided not to. So thank you for mentioning it.
You're welcome. And then when McCoy says, "Well, I don't know what I was worried about. You can't kill a computer," I was like, Kirk's done it like 4 times.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Where have you been?
That was my other line I had. I know you can't kill a computer. And yeah, Kirk literally has.
Kirk really is good
times.
at it, so maybe you can.
Yeah. I mean, also I guess what's the word? The effect. Another way to say the effect of saying kill implies that it was like a living thing.
Oh.
The what's that
implication?
Word? Implication.
No, I can't not think of I think it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia clip because of the implication.
Okay.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Oh, okay. You'll have to watch it after this.
Okay. Yeah, so I already said one of the lines, and that was my other one with the computer. I will say moments wise, her Nona, which I think you just said no a second ago.
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
No. Her healing Kirk was funny.
Yeah.
And just like a interesting scene all around. And then of course the slapping. Like,
yes.
we love some slapping, and it was really good. The fact that, you know, like Spock was being slapped and Chapel was doing it, and then Banga does it, and it's just like so extra and dramatic. So good.
And just Mbenga in general being in this episode was fun because of, you know, knowing from Strange New Worlds. Yeah.
Yes. So cool. And it's kind of cool that, like, even though I'm, you know, late to the party with Star Trek, it's kind of cool that I get to have this experience because, you know, if you watch this first, you just be like, oh, this is just like a new character. This doesn't mean anything to me. Whereas I'm like, like I know this character, you know, well, to an extent, as we find out in Strange New Worlds, he is full of mysteries and like a crazy past. So yeah, I kind of like I felt very appreciative to have that experience. Because I don't, you know, not a lot of people have that, and yeah, I was just so shocked because I was not expecting that at all. When I saw him, I didn't even think for a second that it might be Mbenga. You know, because I don't know, why would I?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when we were talking about Strange New Worlds and we were talking about people who were safe, I think I left him out because we hadn't come across him yet in TOS. So I was like, I'm not going to mention Mbenga because I don't want to spoil it. Because we said we know that like
Pet.
Pike, thank you. Pike is safe, Chapel's safe, Spock's safe. Like we know, you know, those people, and Scotty when we saw him show up, Kirk. But we don't know about La'an. I kept thinking Nan in my head, and I'm like, no, that's bread. It's close.
She's not bread, Johnny.
But that's
Come
bread.
on. She's a human being. She
Ortega's and Pike's girlfriend. I can't remember her name. The other captain.
I can't either.
It's been a minute. But Strange New Worlds just finished filming season 3, so
yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. I saw that. I think I posted to our story Chapel's story or post about it. So
yeah.
Very excited. But
Indeed.
We still won't get it until next year, right?
Like it's not till like 2025. Yeah.
Because it's May, so it's gonna take them a while to like edit and CGI everything.
Yeah.
And you know, reshoots and all that stuff, voiceovers. Takes time. But I'm okay with it. Like I want them to put good effort into it because I love that show. It is great.
It is good. Yes. It's my favorite Star Trek, but I don't know, that's hard. That or Lower Decks.
I was gonna say Lower Decks.
I can't pick. They're both fantastic.
Even more than Next Generation?
I mean, contemporary, modern Star Trek.
Okay.
TNG is always going to be my number one favorite.
Your OG baby.
Yeah. But it'd be like
I don't know.
TNG is 1, and like Strange New Worlds is 2A, and Lower Decks is like 2B. Yeah. Picard, the show is okay. Everything else is like 3 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
Very specific.
Yeah. So that should do it for favorite lines and moments, I think. Should we go to That's What They Said?
Yes, indeed. I can't remember who went first last time.
I can't either, so...
I'll go.
Okay.
All right. How much longer, McCoy?
Are you coming with me?
You did a fine job, Bones.
Harder.
Please, release her.
Neither side felt like they could pull out. Yay!
Yay!
Those are your That's What They Said for A Private Little War. That will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. In Don Engel's original story outline, the Klingon antagonist was Kor from the episode Errand of Mercy. In a May 26, 1967 memo, Bob Justman criticized this point, writing, "Here we are in the outer reaches of our galaxy, and who should Captain Kirk run into but good old Kor, an adversary that he has encountered before and with whom he has been unable to get very far. Just think of it. Billions of stars and millions of Class M-type planets, and who should he run into but a fella he has had trouble with before. No wonder Kor doesn't recognize him at first. The coincidence is so astounding that he must feel certain that it couldn't possibly have happened. In Don Engel's second draft story outline, the character's name was changed to Krell." I could see it. I could see both sides of it. Like, if it was today, I feel like it would definitely be Kor. Like...
I was wondering that if they were going to use him again.
I actually thought it was Kor when he first showed up on screen, and then I was like, well, no, wait, that's not the same guy.
Not the same. Just another Klingon.
Yep.
Do we ever get his name?
I'm not sure.
Maybe,
it says, I guess it's Krell in the
credits?
script, but I don't know if they spoke it.
Oh, I don't think they spoke it.
The original writer of the episode, again, Don Engels, put the pseudonym Judd Crucis on it after Gene Roddenberry rewrote it. Engels' original contained many more overt Vietnam analogies than what finally appeared. According to Alan Asherman's The Star Trek Compendium, this script referred to Apella as a Ho Chi Minh type and the tribesmen wearing Mongolian clothes. Though friends with Roddenberry since their days as LAPD officers, Engels did not like the changes, and the pseudonym was his wordplay on Jesus Crucified, which is a little extra and a little overdramatic for a Star Trek script.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But I don't know, if he felt like it was his statement and commentary on the war in Vietnam, he might take it more personally.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to say. The original script called the creature a Gumato, but DeForest Kelley kept saying it wrong, so it was changed. The credits still retain the original name. Although... all
because of him.
The Memory Alpha article I just noticed does say citation needed, so that could just be a load of bullshit. But it's a fun story. This is the only episode in Season 2 to not have happy ending music.
Yeah, it did not. It was not a happy ending.
And...
unfortunately...
this is the only episode in which Spock and Kirk are both incapacitated in two separate incidents with different causes for an overlapping time period.
Fascinating.
Weird little factoid, but there it is. That is it for your episode trivia from Memory Alpha.
Very good. Very fascinating.
That will bring us to spoilers without context.
Whoop, whoop. So you go first.
Yes, since you went first for lines and moments, I will go first for spoilers without context. We'll bring my spoilers without context up on the screen. I used Risk because it's kind of like what they're doing with the You know, the pseudo proxy war, like with Starfleet helping one side and the Klingons helping the other.
I have something to admit.
What's that? Have you never played Risk? That's okay.
I don't think so. Not that I remember, and looking at it doesn't ring any bells. I knew of it as a kid, but I played many other games.
I've played Risk. I've played Lord of the Rings Risk. I have the Lord of the Rings Risk. Instantly,
That's
Kayla
cool.
perks up. Yeah.
Hello.
It's cool too because
from 6 to midnight real quick.
It is cool too because it has a story mode built into the board game in a sense, because you have people can play Sauron's forces, and then people can play Gondor, and there's a little One Ring. Like, the Sauron's forces, to win the game, have to take control of a territory that the One Ring is in, because it's the hobbits going to Mount Doom. As the game progresses, the ring will make its way to Mount Doom. If it makes its way to Mount Doom and the people playing Sauron's forces can't like capture it, then the game ends and the good side wins. But if Sauron's forces can capture a territory where the ring is, essentially they abduct the hobbits, get the ring, and the good side loses.
Yeah, then you're fucked.
But you can also just play it as a traditional game of Risk, where it's just two sides going out trying to take over territories and conquer the whole map.
Okay. Yeah, that concept of it sounds familiar to me, but I still don't think I've ever played it.
Yeah. I also have Risk Godstorm, which is on Earth, but it's Mediterranean. One of the territories is Atlantis, and about halfway through the game, Atlantis sinks. It's fun. There's another one I want to get. It's Risk 2099 or 3099. It's in one of the territories is the moon. That's fun.
Oh, damn. That's cool.
So, the next one I have is just a lady doing a ritual on a pentacle. It's technically a pentagram because the point is facing towards us. A witch for Nona.
Good to know.
Yeah, if a pentagram, the point faces downwards. So if it looks like a goat, it's a pentagram, which is more associated with Satanism and dark evil forces. Whereas a pentacle is an upright star, which is more associated with Wicca and like light. The pentacle is the Jedi. The pentagram is the Sith.
There you go, nerds. The more
and then
you know.
I had to do Solid Snake sneaking through Metal Gear Solid because of them infiltrating the village. It reminded me of them sneaking around too during I think it was an Errand of Mercy, the one with was that was the one with Core. Like they were sneaking through, Spock and Kirk were sneaking around the Klingons.
Yes. Oh my god, I'm already forgetting things.
Well, we are.
Dear God.
Like, this is episode 48.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy tits.
And then they kept calling the flintlocks fire sticks, so all I could think of is Army of Darkness and Ash going, "Listen up, you predator screwheads. This is my boomstick."
That's funny.
So I had to put Ash from Army of Darkness in there. Yep.
That's funny. Very good. Very good.
All right, with that, we will bring Ensign Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Yes. So I almost did the albino, monkey, rhino, dino, like as all of my spoilers without context, which I've done before, but I decided just to do a white rhino and then Bigfoot, because reminded me a lot of Bigfoot. And then, of course, Xena, because, like, literally known as, like, copy-paste Xena, just slightly different outfit, but, like, the brown, dark hair with bangs, long, pretty straight. And then I swear I swear there's something iconic that has like an orange furry like sweater or vest. And I literally like typed that into Google and typed like orange fur vest, like movies. And then I didn't really see anything. And then I did TV shows and I saw this of Phoebe from Friends. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm not a big Friends fan, but like, I feel like I've seen this enough. I think it's the scene where she sees Chandler and Monica hooking up or whatever.
I
think it might be that scene. I don't know.
Maybe.
Once again, I'm not the biggest fan. But I was like, oh, yeah, I've seen that before. So had to do that.
So my thought when you were, for what you're describing, is this.
Oh, shoot. Kind of. I feel like I think of him as more red, though. Like,
Yeah,
he is, like, orangey red, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. What's his name again?
That's what I thought. I don't know.
Who knows?
Gossamer, apparently.
Gossamer? That seems complicated for a child's show.
Yeah. Okay.
Or supposedly child's show. Anyways.
Well done.
That's mine. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, before we rank the episode, Ensign Kayla, why don't you tell the folks where to find us, what we've got going on?
Yes. So you can follow us on social media at GTFO channel, mostly just on Instagram at this point.
Yeah.
And if you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. It is the reverse of our social media handle. You can reach out to us. We are currently doing our Stranger Things watch rewatch of season 3 right now, which we're doing most Fridays and then I think a Wednesday. So be sure to check out those live streams. We just did our first one last week and it was a ton of fun, and we'll have some guests on as well. So very excited about that. So the next one will be tomorrow night. And yeah, make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, and smack that bell icon as usual.
Just like in Benga.
Just like in Benga and Chapel.
All right. So, Ensign Kayla, how do you rank A Private Little War?
Well, up until, not even just up until the reveal about Mbenga, but I think if Mbenga wasn't in this and I didn't have the context of him, like already watching Strange New Worlds, I probably would rank it lower. But because I like that he's included in it, and it's kind of like a funny, quirky episode. I don't, not a fan of how it ends. Not in terms of like, like show-wise, just because, yeah, it sucks that that's the resolution. But yeah, I think still entertaining for sure between like Nona's character, the Mugatu, Mbenga being in it. Like, I think and the slapping, of course, the slapping. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in it. I just don't know if you necessarily, like, have to watch it. And also, it's like, I don't know if Mbenga is important in the future of TOS necessarily. Like, I don't even know if he's going to show up again at all. So, I don't know. This is a very tricky one for me to rank. Like, I don't know. Like, I keep going back and forth. Basically, I'm going back and forth between lieutenant and commander. I don't know. It's like sometimes I think one, sometimes I think the other. I don't know. Don't make me pick. Cause like, yeah, I don't know. I just need to pick one. I'll just do I'll just do Commander, because at least, like, if you watch it, like, you'll be entertained.
Yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, that's like, you know, when I'm struggling to choose to how to rank it, for me, I'm like, is it at least going to be an entertaining episode? Like, am I going to walk away from that thinking like, oh, I'm glad I watched that. Like, at least I had fun, or it was like interesting or weird, and or like, you know, in this case, it's also very thought provoking, especially because it's not narrative. What's the word? We were just talking about it, about the Vietnam War. It's a
allegory.
Yes, but it's a
commentary.
Yes, commentary on the Vietnam War. So I think those are like important things too, especially when an episode's thought provoking, because I don't know how many like shows or things like that were very thought provoking back then besides the news.
Yes.
So also I didn't live back then, so I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm gonna ultimately do Commander.
Okay. I'm gonna do the same for similar reasons. Because like I said, it's one of the first that I can think of that is really, there was one other one that we talked about where it was kind of like contemporary issues at the time, but this is one of the more like real analogous ones. And I forgot to mention this when we were talking about favorite lines and moments, but one of my favorite moments at the beginning was on the bridge. I thought the debate between all the bridge officers was really interesting, even if it ended up with Kirk going, I didn't invite a debate. Like, I thought everybody's points were good. It was Scotty and Ahura,
and Chekhov.
Yeah.
He had like one line, but yeah.
I really like that.
Can't leave him out.
I really like that scene, even if it ended in Kirk being like, I didn't invite a debate.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
So we will give a unanimous rank of Commander to A Private Little War. Our next episode is Return to Tomorrow. IMDb.com says the Enterprise is guided to a distant, long-dead world where survivors of an extremely ancient race, existing only as disembodied energy, desiring the bodies of Kirk, Spock, and astrobiologist Anne Mulhall so that they may live again.
Yep. That's it.
More highly advanced, disembodied, non-corporeal beings.
Yes.
So we'll see what that's all about next time.
Indeed. And until then, thanks everyone for joining us, and peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.